Hello, and welcome to Wyverns and Weirdos Fathomless, the tabletop podcast set in the world of Fierlor. I'm your Dungeon Master Darby, and joining me as always are Mitch playing Neris, Jake playing the Fishman, Joe playing Alton, Laura playing Janice, and Zoe playing the Wren. So, in the aftermath of that battle, what would folks like to do?
Fishman would like to pipe up and say, firstly, is everyone all right?
Yes, everyone alive? Hail! This was a great battle.
Hail, I
Then worse can be considered. Anyone need any assistance?
think we're all alive. That's about as much as we could ask for.
It is much more than we can say for some. And Janice kind of looks back around the room and sort of, almost to himself, he sort of just says, "May your souls wash back into the waves with someone who cares for you." But then he sort of squares his shoulders up and is like, "We should regroup now. Everyone, come closer."
You say regroup, but this may not be over. Have we checked upstairs? Is there a kitchen? I'm sure the guards are on their way.
This is a good
Are
point.
there zombies outside? I think we should check these things.
Yes, of course.
So, to answer the question of is there a kitchen, there is a kitchen up the back of the tavern by the bar. No one exited the kitchen.
Yeah, so Janice will go and check there and just kind of give a shot immediately. "No trouble, it's only me."
Okay, so you see, there are two kind of cowering folks within, kind of hunkered down in the back corner of the kitchen.
And he almost crouches down and is like, "Rest easy, friends. The attackers have gone. We are clearing the area.
Thank you.
My name is Janice.
Borvin.
Borvin.
Terry.
Borvin and Terry. Fine names, brave men. Please rest here a moment. We will secure the area. You are lucky, lucky people."
All right.
And then he kind of ducks out and will go and check to see what everyone else has been looking at. And then again, he's sort of restlessly wanting to check the rest of the people in this group as well.
The civilians who escaped the tavern, or the two who stayed in the kitchen?
So Janice specifically is clearly concerned about the rest of his group, quotation marks. But he's also trying, without a very hard insight check, he's also trying to look like he's wanting to check around for everyone else as well, because Fishman called him out on it, I guess.
Okay.
I assume Fishman is doing a lot of scouting right now, though.
Yeah, Fishman's outside at the moment.
Yeah. If you're trying to look for people, it would be more an investigation check for a specific person, or perception to gauge where everyone is.
Yeah, just checking if there's chaos outside, basically.
I'll give you that for free. There isn't much in the way of chaos. People are kind of at all kind of huddled together at an evacuation point a few yards away from the tavern.
That's fine. Any guards?
There are some guards making their way to the tavern, and they seem to be trying to gauge what has been going on.
Fishman, and this is just quickly out of scene, will run up to them and then run backwards at the same pace they're running forwards, giving them a quick debrief of the situation. And then, if he can, at the first opportunity he gets, he's going to rush back to Alton, quite pedantically, with a deep concern on his face.
How was everyone? Were there many injured out there? We seem to have fared fairly well.
The injured seem to all be in here, and those that were injured are unfortunately dead.
Yeah, no, little more than injured, I'd say.
He does interrupt. Am Am I going to die? I got hit by a mushroom. It exploded. It hit me. It hurt me. It burned. Am I going to die? Am I going to be one of them? As he holds out like an arm where maybe he took like, I don't know, some of the, what was it, poison damage? They were hideous. They were disgusting. I don't want to lose my skin, my bones. And like you can see, he's quite legitimately concerned about this.
So Alton, roll me a medicine check.
Yes, 17.
So between your observations during the fight and your general knowledge of diseases, you don't think Fishman has much, if any, risk of becoming a zombie himself. It would seem from your experience that these particular zombies, the zombification process happens after the victim perishes, shortly after, but it is after they die. You don't know necessarily what the threshold of time is. It might just be that it's immediate, or it could be that it stays within the system for a period of time, and if they die during that time, they might be risen back up. But your best guess from the circumstances before you are that it is mostly likely an immediate effect, though you cannot guarantee that for certain.
Excellent. Okay. Yeah, no, that was some freaky shit, but no need to worry. I've come across similar things in the past. This seems to have more of like a necromantic side to it, potentially. I think you're only at risk of turning into those things after you died. And let me check your vitals and everything, but you look fine to me. He starts looking over Fishman, I guess just like listening to his chest, generally checking the vitals. How are you feeling? Are you feeling particularly unwell?
I'm feeling fine. But I believe I should not be your highest priority if I'm not going to turn into one of those fleshy, disgusting abominations. I believe your target should be Neris.
Yes.
And he leans in. I saw him, I believe, to try and attract the attention of the aggressors. That's not what Neris does. He took a splintering from the door, I believe, but he does not do that. Perhaps check for a concussion. That's what that's called, yes?
No, you're right, yes. It's acting a little bit out of character. A bit more reckless than usual. And yes, I think he did. He was hit quite badly by the spores initially. Unfortunately, it's not.
Is Neris nearby?
Might take a little while.
Neris is probably 15 feet away. He's currently still, like, wrapped in this oversized scarf around his face that's just kind of drooping down. He's pulled out an empty vial from his jacket, and he's currently using a dagger to just kind of scrape up some of the spores that were on the ground very gently and delicately into this little glass vial, and then he'll put a little cork stopper on it.
He's quite focused then.
Yes.
And he wouldn't notice Fishman very, very frequently turning around to look at him, and like if Neris were to ever make eye contact, he would immediately turn back to Alton and act like that never happened.
Neris seems very hyperfixated at the time being.
I will note too, Neris, it has been long enough that the poison condition from the spores has dispersed.
Excellent, we're keeping the scarf.
My point stands. I think you should check on Neris.
Yeah, that's a fair point. It was maybe one of the splinters hit him at the wrong angle and gave him a concussion.
Perhaps. I don't know what that mushroom zombie did to him. Whatever it was awfully rude.
Exactly. I'm quite curious about why it attacked. Did you get anything from the being you ran after?
I'm not used to being ignored. It's not a good feeling. In fact, I believe I have a new little mission of my own, and it starts with Lorraine, if you'll excuse me.
I see. Well, a tip, usually if you're annoying enough, people can't ignore you that way. Right. Check on this.
Usually the attention finds me. People find me interesting. Not per se of my own actions, but simply because I am different. And when I demand attention and get ignored still, it burns. It hurts deep. I've never felt this before. As he ponders, stroking his chin, looking around for Loren.
Well, let me know if you need any backup. I'll help any way I can.
I appreciate it, but please, I am worried about Neris.
Yeah, I'll make his way over to Neris.
Just quickly, in the background of all of that, as Neris is single-mindedly and unspeakingly scooping up little spores, and Alton and Fishman are having this conversation, all the surviving panthers walk up to Loren, and you would be able to see that they leave little wet footprints behind. Almost like when a frog jumps from spot to spot and there's a little indent of the frog. There's little paw prints. And they all kind of walk up to Loren and just kind of look at her with their big, glassy, fishy cat eyes. And she goes, "Good job, little ones. You did. Oh, you did good. Go check upstairs, make sure there's no one screaming, crying, or dying. If you see any zombies, let Mama know. And if you see anyone that's not a zombie, just leave them be. You might freak them out a little bit. Off you pop." And they are gonna go investigate, make sure everything's all good upstairs. And she just kind of leans her whole weight into her staff and sort of turns around and looks at Janice. "Could have gone better, but you did a good job out there, Captain."
He just sort of like makes a face at her. She's like, it isn't like you're disparaging, and he just sort of shrugs and like very gingerly sort of edges around one of the little cats. It's like, "Well, there's always room for improvement. You didn't tell me you could have summoned cats at will. Like, sure, we would have been excited."
Well, they were having enough fun with Iric. I didn't think once they could actually ride around on, "We're going to do you and Anna any good in the stress department."
Well, Iric does eat enough for about 8 big cats, so it's probably a fair comparison.
It's not my fault he's spoiled. No, that's I don't pull that one out much. It freaks people out, and it's not always useful the way I work.
Magic is always useful. It was certainly useful here. Remember it for next time, perhaps.
I will.
Good job for you too, crewmate. And he winks at her and then sort of continues to busy himself around, like hovering. He sort of like starts to make his way towards Neris and then clocks Alton, like scooting over to him, and just nods at Alton appreciatively, and then goes to try and like chat with the patron at the bar, to try and just sort of smooth things over a bit.
Fishman will probably approach at that point.
Oh gods, what do you want?
I want a lot of things.
Yeah, like chasing after the bad guy. That's very smart, very good. Surefire way to stay alive. Good job.
I'm so glad you brought them up, because I have so many questions. This is not the first time I've seen them.
No.
Are they a zombie too?
No. They're metal.
Did they create these zombies?
Oh, look, I've tried my best to know what that thing does, or what's this. He calls them his friends.
They are not friendly.
They are to him.
Nor
he makes
is
them,
he.
They're his. No.
Whether
He's
he
not.
be metal or zombie, both are cold, and his cold shoulder was extra cold.
You're worried that he ignored you? That's the best thing he could have done. If there's one thing you want from 42, it's for him to not give a shit about who you are.
42.
He goes by 2 names. That's the main one the captain called him.
I remember in that cave, there was mention of champion when
Aye.
it came to Cerise. Is this another champion?
Oh, this is not just another champion. It's captain of the guard. Second in command, the Grand Poobah or whatever.
Well, I probably should not have leapt out there and the earliest opportunity, far from the party, and engaged in one-on-one conversation, potentially putting myself at risk.
Aye. That was very stupid. If I'd
And
known
is that...
you were... Yes.
Is that why you sent me a very long-winded, very, very offensive message?
You told me not to do things that were going to endanger the party. And you told me not to disobey orders. You then go running like a dervish. I know stuff you don't know, so I told ya what I know, which is that you were being an idiot.
I did have 2 contingency plans.
Only 2?
Neither were needed. However, I believe I've been dealt a great blow. Regardless, it's one of the things I hold dear.
Oh God, no wonder you and the captain got along.
Morale is everything. Morale is contagious. When a part of the crew, morale is everything.
Okay.
And it's something your captain did so well, is image.
But if all you care about is your own pride, then that's just you, buddy. And I can get that, absolutely. But like, you gotta think about the ensemble, not just the person in the spotlight.
This
You know what I'm
really
saying?
is a full 180 of this conversation we had earlier this day.
It is. I don't like either version. Look,
Good work. Hoping to catch them off guard.
He does. She fully just stops talking and just looks at him. Kind of twitches a little. Thank
He
you.
was strategic. That storm, I've not seen you use it before. It limited their movement, damaged them quite some, and then spawned magical beasts. Something I'm quite familiar of, but how many of them?
I think I did 7. I've done up to 8.
8. How? I can do 1.
Well, you know, that's just a... Oh, God, I'm gonna sound so strange. You'll learn that when you're a Triton. That's... If you've got magic in your blood, you'll learn how to summon animals. We're closer to the other planes. We're connected to the Fae, tangentially. We know how to summon creatures from there.
And he'll kind of... Are we anywhere near a table or a chair?
Probably, yeah.
Yeah, he pulls out a chair and leans back in it. I don't know what I am. I can spawn beasts, but I don't believe they are of Fae origin. So what then am I? Am I close? Am I similar? Or am I completely different? I know spawning of magical beasts is not unique to the Fae.
No, many can do it. But you know what you are. You're a fish that looks like a man.
That's the name.
Honestly, friend, if all
He
you're...
stops and points at you and smiles.
Don't, or I'll take it back.
He raises an open palm, as if to say, I back off.
If all you're doing is chasing who you are, you're never gonna find it. Because you're just leaving a shadow of who you should be behind you. Believe me, I know.
I know who I am. I want to know who I was.
Who you are.
I want to chase that shadow. It's the shadow I'm after.
You don't know your own shadow.
It's a complicated situation. One I'm not willing to discuss here.
That's fair. There's plenty about me I'm not willing to discuss with you.
Oh, I'm not surprised. Friend.
But, oh, it sounds
Says
gross
with
when you say it. It sounds gross when you say it.
This 42. How knowledgeable are
Look, if I'm going to be honest with you, Fishman, you barely spoke to me. I liked it that way.
they? You are good at knowing people very quickly. Whether that is you make up in your own head, or you are quite observant. Either one, I want to know who this 42 is.
Look, when Captain and I were searching for him, I tried to do research, see what he's about. I knew a little bit from the history books, but not much. There's very little about recent history, and everything to do with the Vein Shade is recent. But there's some. I can collate some stuff together, give you a rundown. Probably give everyone a rundown if he's just going to pop up out of the blue and throw some sacks of flesh at us.
I think that's a good idea. And I think it would be wise of us to find out why either this one particular tavern was targeted, or why we were targeted inside of this tavern.
There's a weird look that crosses over Loren's face. Like almost not fear, but almost shame. Just for a beat, just for a flash. Then she kind of schools her face neutral. Well, that may just be a mystery lost to time, until we can speak to Exley or the Vein Shade, or their champion, which I don't think is a good idea. We never know.
You see Fishman whip out his book and write a lot of things in there. is actually his other name.
Aye.
Vaneshade, you've mentioned that a few times.
That's Conrad. That's the boss. Head honcho. The freak that lives upstairs.
A god, I believe is what you mean.
Yes.
No, well familiar with that one. When you chat with Cerise, but you won't be interested in hearing them.
She spoke to you of him. You think she will?
Briefly.
She. Right. Good one. Glad you could bond.
I wouldn't say it was easy for them. I can be quite inquisitive. And they did not answer with great detail. I got a name, and I got a confirmation, and that was it.
Sounds like me, Captain.
Yes.
Captain.
Very true. And whether for better or worse, I think where you are right now is where you should be.
Another strange look passes her face. Like resignation. Well, I'm well aware of that, Fishman, or I wouldn't be here. And she smiles, and it's very toothy.
Fishman exchanges in a very toothy grin as well. I believe we need to discuss things further as a party.
Yes.
I'm not sure if we'll be staying here much longer.
No.
I'm not even sure if we purchased rooms.
I think that's what Neris was on his way to do, but I don't think we'll be getting a refund. Although, to be fair, compared to last time, we only destroyed a door. So really, they should be thanking us.
I believe the person who served us as well did escape.
There you go.
Perhaps there can be something we can work with that.
God, you would have done so well on the Red Phoenix.
Again, I'm not above pirates, but
well, that would imply piracy's below you.
You're so witty as always.
I try my best.
Let's speak with the crew.
Aye.
But we speak later tonight.
Aye, we'll speak.
Alright, Fishman will turn around the chair, stand up and see if he can help out around the bar. Maybe keep an eye out for the proprietor of this establishment, please.
Loren is going to wait to see what reports she gets from her kitty friends, and then she is going to give them all pats because they did a very good job, and she is going to wait to speak to the rest of the crew, or potentially get Neris alone, whatever comes first.
I also want to be checking over Neris, kind of give him a once over. Is Neris especially injured?
So not particularly. Neris is still like just very lightly shaking this jar that has these fungal spores in it. He's just kind of looking at it. And as you come up, he does sort of straighten up, and he's got a couple of cuts on him. He's still wearing your scarf over his face and nose. So that just his eyes and half of the eye bags are sort of showing. He's got a couple of cuts and bruises, but otherwise he looks okay. He does seem to still be favoring one side from where his rib was broken but then healed again. So potentially that's... yeah.
Fair enough. Nicely done. I was going to collect a couple of samples myself.
Fear, it is not the last time that we will encounter that individual, so the more we know about them, the better. And he shakes the bar.
I suppose so. It'd be nice to know something about whoever that was that massacred this place. And he kind of like taps his hands together and puts on like a kind of a cheery visage. It's like, so do you think we should go back to the Polaris and talk this over with Captain Tibble?
I did not think you hit your head that hard when you fell off the table. Are you okay?
No, I'm completely okay. It's your faculties in order is what I was getting at. You know, everything. Yeah, you know what day it is and everything.
I am well aware of what the date is. What are you trying to get at?
Good, because I've completely forgotten. Well, you're acting, I'm not sure how many blows you took there, but you're acting a little bit more reckless than usual, and wanted to make sure that everything's okay.
Neris straightens up a little bit and kind of puts the vial into a pocket in his robe. You should be comforted in the fact that I was by no means less terrified by that event as I have been from any other combat we have encountered. The only difference in this scenario is we were not the ones being attacked.
No, that is fair enough. There's not generally a tavern full of people out there back on the Polaris or anything.
I am more than happy to, while it is not seen as well-to-do as other forms of combat, I am always a fan of avoiding combat altogether. I would very much like to run away, as much as I am not an avid sprinter. However, in this scenario, there were those who could not defend themselves, and I have the capabilities to potentially draw some of the fire. Not much, mind you, but some. And if it makes you feel better, my faculties are not as damaged as what you might suspect. I have my methods of avoiding mundane damage from creatures such as this. I took a gamble that I knew how they fought, and for the most part I was correct. Dealing with magic and intelligent attacks is becoming increasingly difficult with advances in all forms of magic. However, a simple claw or a fist or a bite is easier to avoid when you have certain capabilities.
You speak very truly. You know, I mention quite often that this is exactly why the common folk is afraid of magic. But you can't, there's not very much you can do against that, especially as you say when it's constantly expanding. But still, it's very noble of you to stand up against them. I mean, many people would think someone has lost their faculties to throw themselves into danger for strangers.
With all due respect, you are not listening to me. I was not throwing myself into danger. I am, as I have capabilities to avoid, it is more intelligent for me to avoid being hit than it is for that gentleman out there to be killed.
I see.
I want you
apologies. No, you are. Oh, yes.
I want you to understand. I mean no disrespect. I know you have. It has been an incredibly busy day.
It really has. And honestly, I'm just fucking with you. So, yes, apologies on the miscommunication here. It has been a very long day. But it's also just very nice sometimes. It's just like a little bright moment in a bad day to hear a magic user talk about how magic is difficult sometimes. Like, a lot to deal with sometimes. So sorry for taking my moment of joy there. Can I inside? What's the vibe with Nerys right now?
So he is actively trying to hide his emotions. Probably not incredibly well because he's...
Yeah, insight versus deception.
Oh, okay. I got a nat 20, so that's a 23.
I got 12.
So what emotions is Nerys reasonably poorly hiding?
There is something that Nerys isn't telling you, which would probably explain... Everything that Nerys says is roundabouts. But there is the center of the roundabout that he's always dodging. Sometimes you feel like he doesn't give you the whole truth because potentially it's fun. In this scenario, you get the feeling he doesn't want to hurt you.
Oh, that left me more confused. Okay. Right, well, we don't need to get into things too much right after all that happened. You feeling good? So good to hear your, faculties are alright. You're alright physically?
Believe I can heal, yes. How are you?
Haven't pestered you too much? A bit bruised. I would very much appreciate a week's long sleep. But there's always things to do, isn't there?
If it makes you feel any better, I have no other expeditions for everyone to go on. You are free to take whatever rest you wish to.
Good to hear. But I'd appreciate still being in the loop, especially after what just happened to you. I'd better get to the bottom of this one. And when you're tired all the time, it doesn't really matter if it's a bit worse than usual.
Tiredness can lead to many things. And take it from me, some of those things are not good.
I'm a doctor, I would know. There are a lot of bad side effects. Alright then, let's check up on all the others, see how we're all doing.
Let's...
God, this place is a mess.
At that moment, Neris, you hear a voice in the back of your head say, "So, you have finally encountered the enemy. I remember your idealism. Well, it would fall in time. But, who knows? Maybe you'll not make the mistakes that I did. Or maybe you'll fall right into the same traps. Rest well, Neris. Your destiny awaits you." Jack? Oh, yes?
I think Neris just smiles, but it doesn't reach his eyes. And he just kind of thinks about what was said and gives a silent nod.
So, Janice, you were seeking out the proprietor, who, fun fact, was the one that Neris tried to vortex warp.
Yeah, Janice sort of strides outside, sort of like arms out, like, "Everyone, have the guards been called? The creatures have been dealt with."
Yeah, you do see that there are guards about.
Yeah, so turns out, like, he seeks out the proprietor and is like, "Friend,
You're one of the ones that helped.
yes, that is me. How are you doing? How's everyone going?"
Dude, what the fuck did your friend try to pull in there?
Which one? Did you catch the name?
The magic one!
Oh,
With the accent.
Yes. What? He tried to cast a spell, possibly?
Yeah, I was running and he cast a spell on me.
He didn't say anything?
Not that I can remember. I was running.
That's very rude of him. I will have a talk with him about that. I assume it was for your safety, but he needs to learn how to communicate a bit more. So I will accept that responsibility for that. I assume that's what happened. It just didn't. My apologies. We did not mean to do that.
Okay.
It was a difficult situation.
Yeah. Never had something like that happen before.
Good. To be honest, no, we haven't either, and I have lived many a tale and seen many a thing. You know, once I fought a kraken. That's time for that some other time. Can we be of any further assistance? We have cleared the area inside if you wish to assess damages. Which were not caused by us, I must say.
I mean, I'll have a look, but yeah, there's not much that can be done at this point.
I am greatly apologetic for all of this. I only wish we could have assisted sooner.
Some of that shit was fucked up.
Yes, it was very fucked up. I'm probably going to have to vomit later on. So, please...
Mike's skeleton came out of his fucking mouth!
Yes, no, I'm very sorry you've had to witness this. Please speak to a registered therapist about this. I could give you a good one. No, I can't recommend one to you anymore, actually. But please speak to someone about this. This is a terrible thing, and even someone who's battle-hardened does make me quite queasy. So please, if we can assist in any way, we will. I believe we were going to be staying in this establishment. Probably not going to be an option, I assume. Yes, no?
I mean, I think we've got 2 rooms free upstairs.
That's fair. I'll confer with my people.
Like, I could get a cot in or something and it'll cover the 5 of you between the 2.
Can Fishman join now, if that's okay?
Yeah.
Janice, and I'm assuming the proprietor of this fine establishment.
Ah, Fishman. Hello. Yes, we're speaking with the owner.
The owner, your name, please. The owner, I don't like titles like that. Your name, please.
Terrence.
I'm the Fishman, or that's what people call me. I guess it's a title. That's quite hypocritical of me to say, but regardless, I believe all of your patrons have left, and I may have overheard on my way here that Janice was just asking for staying at your establishment.
Well,
rooms now opened up now that you have no one staying. And with an ongoing investigation, it's very unlikely that these patrons will return, nor will new ones. And we won't be a bother. We will do and take care of ourselves. But we do need a place to stay tonight. And we did have our hearts set on this. And he goes on and on and on. And if there is any sign of rebuttal or challenge, he will just keep on listing reasons why they will. One, first off,
He's filibustering.
He will not get any new clientele. Two, there is an ongoing investigation. People won't even be able to be let in other than us. Three, I'm not sure if we've already paid yet. I'm pretty sure we haven't, but you kind of owe us. And the list just goes on.
Look, I have rooms. I've got 2 free. There might be some other. I know at least one gentleman bought a few rooms before all that shit went down. Didn't catch a name. Ordered whiskey.
Look, you don't bother yourself. I will take that room. I'll collect her things, deliver them to you, and you can put them in safe storage. I will take that.
I mean, I can't really do that. That's an invasion of privacy. It could get my license revoked.
That's your top concern right now. You just had a zombie outbreak in your establishment. I think your license is null and void at this point, regardless.
No, I know the bylaws. I am not liable in that
Terrence?
regard for any such attacks.
Sorry, beg pardon, I don't want to interrupt this display. Did the guy that I need to have a talk to buy any rooms by any chance before this happened?
I didn't catch a name. It wasn't me that served them.
Oh.
It was one of my staff who, looking among the people here, I don't think they made
He just
it.
looks to fish, man.
Did this
But they would have
particular
keys.
patron, and I'm sorry to bring up any bad memories if you have had any, did they make it?
As I said, I don't know. I didn't get a name, didn't get a face. It was one of my my now deceased employees, presumably, that served them. They did get keys, so they would have their keys on them if they survived. Otherwise, those keys are probably somewhere in the mess that's inside.
Fishman bolts to the establishment.
I'm sorry,
and does a quick investigation if he can.
Okay, roll me an investigation check.
10.
10. You don't find any keys.
He does it again.
You still don't find any keys.
Damn it.
Janet's just like, no, you go ahead.
I was just going to say, out of the corner of his eye, Neris just kind of watches, but not really knowing what he's looking for. Neris just goes back to whatever he was doing.
He goes up to Neris. Have you happened to find any keys? It's imperative to our stay at this establishment. Potentially subsidized. That's what I'm hoping for. You've spent a great deal of money of us today, and I think you should be rewarded. I don't think we should be paying for rooms tonight, especially after what we've done. Have you found any keys?
I have not found any keys, no. I mean,
Can you see any keys?
would you like me to... What are we trying to do?
I can take a look if that needs to be the case.
Do you want rooms here? In this damaged establishment?
In the background, Janice is apologizing profusely to Terrence for. It's just kind of like, I'd say he's not normally that weird, but he pretty much is. I will have a talk to my entire crew about their conduct. He's just in the background.
That would be greatly appreciated. Thank you.
And Fishman says, well, here's what I was trying to do, and blah, 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 blah.
You know, when I bought the whiskey, I actually bought rooms for us. You do not need to find extra keys. I have, and he will reach into his pocket and pull out the keys that he got.
How many keys are there?
I don't remember if we talked on how many there are available, but he tried to get rooms for 4 of them.
Yeah, you would have those rooms.
Okay.
Yeah.
There are 4
I
keys.
hope you understand that I cannot stay in a room with anyone else.
You have your own room.
And who are you to bunk with, per se, then?
I do not bunk with anyone.
Then Alton, as he turns towards Alton.
Yes? Don't we have enough keys for every room?
To my understanding, there are 5 of us and 4 rooms.
Oh, right. Someone's sharing.
I will not need a room. I have to get the fast down to a safer place. If this coincidence was not a coincidence, and they were here for this stone, it needs to be a little bit safer. And I will take care of that tonight.
You've got a safe house that's no one knows about, that's safe from scrying and everything?
I do have a place that I can stay that is very safe.
That's good. Risky going on your own.
I will meet up with you all in the morning, but for now I have secured rooms for all of you as part payment for accepting this expedition.
Good. Thank you. I'm glad. I don't think I'd appreciate sharing a room with Janice. He'd probably be singing sea shanties in his sleep or something. And the room would probably keep the lights on all the time, flashing or something, just to piss me off.
At this precise moment, Janice bursts the door over. Everyone! I've managed to sort of calm him down. What's going on? Is everyone... What are you doing, Fishman? We're all converged now. Hello? And he just sort of swaggers over.
Loren, who has been watching all of this, like the world's worst soap opera, it's like, evening, Captain. We have rooms for the night.
Oh, good. Excellent. Well, that's perfect. Excellent. Here or elsewhere?
Well, for 4 of us here.
Yes. Where's the other one going?
Neris has to put his rock in a little hidey hole.
Good. I will accompany you then. He says to Neris, unflappable.
I love how it's not even a question. It's, no, I'm coming.
Neris is going to open and close his mouth a couple of times, and he will not say anything.
Excellent. Everyone is well? We've been checked over?
Sorry, Captain. Was that your first order as a captain just there?
What?
That you'll be joining Neris?
I suppose it is, yes. Captain's orders. And he quirks his mouth into a grin as he finally comes to stand next to everyone.
Already got the energy for it. You've got the tenacity.
Yes, I just need a big hat.
Oh, you and your big hats.
I like big hats.
Alton kind of grabs his hat a little bit like...
Fine hat it is too. I will warn you all, the owner is a bit upset.
As they would be after a zombie attack.
Yes, Terrence is his name. He's a little bit unhappy, so I don't know what sort of service we're going to be getting in the establishment, but good. Excellent. I'm glad that everyone is well. You performed well. It is unfortunate that things went the way they did, but we did the best we could. We will do better next time if this situation arises. We know why this situation has happened in the first place.
Fishman looks towards Loren.
Loren kind of does this weird little nose scrunch, like she's sniffing without the noise. It's a mystery, but there have been echoes of the Vein Shade and his friends in our lives for a while.
Your captain's friend, yes?
Potentially.
He just sort of gives her a look.
She just kind of looks back as level as she can.
Oh, fuck. Sorry.
No, you go.
Oh, fucking right. So there's another deity trying to off us then.
Oh, no, he's been trying to off us for ages, but, not even censoring that this was him, just, that was, his head general. So potentially this was a little Vein Shade finger, and that's not the sentence I wanted to say, but we'll just gloss over that. But there's no confirming whether that was on orders or whether it was just a little pet project. He may not even have known we were here. He certainly didn't stick around long enough to speak to us, and apart from our dear captain here, none of us really got close enough for any of them to bite at us instead. So...
good observation. And the prize is still in your possession, yes? Because you're going to take that to a safe place. He tilts his head towards Neris.
And Neris just double check if we still have that. It's been in his satchel that he's been carrying the whole time. But Neris is just going to quickly just reach into his satchel and feel around.
There's nothing out of place.
Oh, I don't like that response, actually.
I really don't like that I didn't get a yes.
Everything that was in there before is still in there. Yes, it is there.
Thank you.
That will alleviate the paranoia.
You're
One
a
of them
kind
like,
God.
God, did you forgot to say you put it in there to begin with? Sorry.
I have kept it safe.
Good. Then that is both a good thing and a mystery. Perhaps it was a random attack inspired to create violence and fear. Either way, we shall see. For now, rest is certainly in order, in the way that we can. What are everyone's immediate plans?
I would like to pass out in the next 5 minutes.
That's granted, fair.
I'm very exhausted.
Loren kind of looks around, waiting to see if anyone else is gonna say anything. And when no one kind of does, clearly just too exhausted, she does just go, for old time's sake, I'd just like to have a quick drink with Neris before he pops off.
Of course. Well, have fun with your vinegar then. I will make sure that the area is secure and perhaps try and calm down the kitchen staff again. Let me know when you intend to leave, Neris. He just nods at him again, and then strides out to go and investigate the kitchen and perhaps the bar.
Fishman goes to speak, but then the person who asked the question left. He doesn't say anything.
Ignored again.
Yeah, and exactly what he says in his head. Today, what is with today? Did I do something? Do I smell? As he smells his armpits.
Loren does take note of this and just kind of nods a little. And then we'll just grab Neris by the arm and drag him back into that little room we were in. Sorry, I know your bones are sensitive.
I'm incredibly weak. Thank you.
Oh, that was before today as well. But this is just quick, I promise. Just a little thing, just something. And if you ever mention it to anyone again, I will be the reason a death spell sticks. Just so you know. And just making sure no one can see them, she just kind of stands square in front of Neris and goes, shut it. And it's very weird, but kind of she blinks for a second and it's almost like her eyes always look like cat eyes, but for a second they're that little bit more fish-like, that little bit closer to a triton. And she lays one hand over his broken ribs and the other above his chest. And in Primordial, she just says, the sea did not take you today, and for that I am grateful. There, I've done it, I've said it. I just wanted, there you go. It's just a thing where I'm from, you don't have to mention it, all right?
Why did you do that?
I said the sea didn't take you. This is all still in Primordial.
And he's responding in Primordial.
Your accent's rubbish.
Not where I am from.
Where are you from?
Not where you're from.
Fair. Look, you had a rough day. We all did. Yours was a little rougher than others. Not as rough as some of the folk out there. It's enough to warm a cold heart, all right?
I am confused.
I'm a confusing person. Woo. She looks so uncomfortable. She's so awkward.
Why is it that some get to choose when people live or die, but others do not?
Oh, that's a bigger question than me, bud. Do you think any of us chose?
Someone did today.
Multiple someones did. The fact of the matter is, it's often not getting to choose, it's having the ability. And some people are able to be saved, some people aren't. If you'd popped up today, flaking all your skin off and stinking of fungus, well, I think Fishman maybe still would have tried, but I certainly wouldn't. What? What's that face? I don't like it when you look like that.
Did you try today?
What? No.
You said you wouldn't if I was flaky.
Well, no, because that's gross.
Why did you say you? And not Elton or Janice?
Because I'm right here. Is this an interrogation?
Yes.
Am I being interrogated?
You are.
Well, I tried to save you, all right. There you go. Yay. You got me to admit I cared. Fuck.
Again, why?
Got a vested interest in you being alive if it makes you feel better.
Whatever that interest is, I thank you.
Well, thank you for getting back up. Sorry about the rib. And she just kind of slaps him on the shoulder and makes to leave.
when you slap him on the shoulder, he's not quite where you expected him to be. You still connect, but it's almost fuzzy.
She kind of turns slowly back to look at him. If this is another thing I have to keep a secret from Janice, you owe me. You owe me a lot.
Have a wonderful night's sleep, Lorraine.
Have a good night cuddling your rock. And she will go to her room and leave him to walk home with Janice.
So, Janice and Neris. Neris,
Oh,
where?
sorry. Didn't Fishman and Lorraine want to have a quick convo? Oh.
If there's time for it, it can happen. He did want to have it later tonight.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to go straight to that, we can do that. Yep.
All right.
I'm happy to. Let's do it, baby.
Okay.
Fisherman will probably be waiting in his room.
Okay. So which order do I need to do these in? Is Neris
Fishman
going
first.
Fishman first? Okay. So later in the evening, I believe Fishman and Loren, you were gonna meet up.
Yeah. So Fisherman would have been hanging around during all the conversations people were having, but then probably would have called it a night and made it to his room, knowing full well he is expecting a guest, someone, but he's not sure how long, as he just said, later tonight, so that could literally mean anything. So yeah, he'll just wait very impatiently in this hotel room.
Whatever time he least expects it is when Loren will knock on the door. It's almost like she's counting. And one thing you will notice, she always knocks on the door a weird way. It is the same pattern Cerise always does.
Was there ever a return to that knock? Because Fishman would probably know it.
It would be the...
Fishman returns that knock. And I'm not sure if that's weird or not to like knock back at someone knocking at your door, but Fishman does that.
She kind of blinks and then like opens the door going, I assume that means you're decent.
Am I ever not?
I don't know, that miniskirt seems to get shorter every day.
It's tactical, you know. I don't wear this for fashion.
No, certainly not for fashion.
His smile leaves him as he says, please close the door and pull up a chair.
She does so.
Loren, you've joined this crew, maybe with good intentions, maybe not. I'm not sure. I've made a big deal about trust and I'm about to buckle down. Just a heads up.
Oh God. If we're about to tell each other our deepest, darkest secret, I don't want it.
I need to know that you are on this crew for the foreseeable future. And this is not some investigation for Neris or Janice. This is for me.
Okay, abate your curiosity.
He usually throws a cheeky smile, but this is dead cold serious. Legitimately, Loren, what are your intentions with this crew? You being a part of it, of course.
A lot of feelings flash across her face. I don't know. I just need somewhere to be. And there are people here that help. I want to keep them alive as long as possible. There's no ulterior motive. There's no mission. There's no point. I just need to be where Janice is. And that's it. If he went off in a dinghy, I'd be in a dinghy behind him.
So Fishman rolled a 23 for insight.
Holy
He's
shit.
looking for anything off. He needs 100% certainty here.
Okay, so she definitely seems off, but it's not because she is lying necessarily. It is, God, a 23. She's being as honest as she's willing to be in this moment.
I made a big spiel about protecting the crew earlier. Actions that you could do to endanger the crew. And now that you are a part of the crew, there's something you should know as well.
Okay.
I am not to be disturbed during the night or the early morning. The late morning, for that matter.
Okay.
And this is not a joke. I take my sleep seriously.
Okay. That's...
He says with a cold, serious demeanor.
That's a nat 1 for insight.
Oh, that's a 9 for deception.
Well. All right, that's... Clearly you need as much beauty sleep as you can get. I won't disturb you.
The rest of the crew is well aware.
Good.
But I am serious, and I've had this conversation with everyone else. Under no circumstances, except one, should you disturb.
What's the one?
Fishman hands out a piece of paper.
Okay.
The wording on that piece of paper, Jake, the player, does not remember what it says. It's an Elvish translation for speak this phrase, something, it means friend, something. Yeah, but Fishman hands a piece of paper. I think it was 𝗖𝗔𝗦𝗧 or something like that, which sounds very familiar to me now that I've said it. If you need me, and if you are to disturb me at any time, this is the phrase you must use. And I'd appreciate it if you did not dig any deeper than that.
I wasn't going to. You're not a man who warrants much digging. Shallow ground. That's a comforting thing.
I'll take it. But you should take this. And keep it. Remember it.
All right. I'll bite.
And as you take it, you see like a big relief go over Fishman. And that cheeky smile will come back. This is not something I give out lightly as well.
Okay, then you have a strange definition of who you count as close to you as she kind of shoves it in her vest.
You are literally the closest person to me right now.
Okay. You know, if I knew I was signing up for puns on this ship, I would have stayed at home with Janice's kids. That's not my home. That's... I'm leaving now. Have a good night.
Right. So, finally, before we wrap on this episode, Janice and Neris, as the evening draws to a close, you head back to where Neris is planning on keeping the Farstone.
Yeah, so I'll just quickly say, once it seems like Neris is interested in leaving, or once one of the sort of our tight-knit crew of 5 people look like they're retiring, which could potentially have been in 5 minutes' time when Alden was lost his social battery. Janice kind of nods to Fishman, nods to Alton after having spoken, like getting a little bit to the kitchen, even to like the bar staff and people sort of like starting to come in and inspect the area again. He's like, "Good job again, everyone. You fought well. Now rest well. If you needed a drink, I have left 20 gold at the bar, so drink yourself fat or drunk or sober as you wish, but treat the staff well. They have been through a terrible ordeal. I will return soon. Sleep, and we will talk more in the future soon. Alton, rest. Do not worry for commitment yet. Think when you are well." And then he nods at Neris, and once Neris does leave, he will follow closely. Quiet for a time. Alright, so Janice will follow quiet for a time. It depends on how far Neris has to leave before he may start to speak. But he seems to be contemplative for now and is looking for danger at any possible opportunity as well.
We are heading for a little bit more inland to a richer part of town. I'm assuming it's a fair hike. So,
okay. Yeah, so probably after a little time, and I imagine it's fairly late by this point, because it was already sort of nearing late when this all happened. So once Janice he's again still scanning everywhere just for very stock standard points of attack, but he does slow a little bit in his stride. He probably originally slowed a little bit considering he walks further than Neris does. But yeah, he sort of slows a little bit more, and then he sort of just like quotes the green. Did I tell you once about a story where I had to escort a prince and queen of a far-off kingdom? It was a great tale. We were attacked by no less than 57 wolves. I arm wrestled all of them and sent them on their way. It was quite a monumentous event. I was thanked richly for the stuff that I did, yeah. As
you should have. That is a monumentous feat.
Yes, no, they were all pretty good arm wrestlers too. Apologies for not asking earlier. I thought it might be best to sort of escort you, given the last 2 times you've been left alone today. You found yourself in quite a conundrum, shall we say.
I appreciate the company.
Me too. And he's again striding as close to the team as possible, but he steps in his space a little bit more as we continue to walk. May I trouble you a question? I understand it has been a longer day for you than most.
It's fine. I've been waiting on walk for this question.
Really? All right then. And then he almost very gingerly, a lot more than like he would normally, because he does sort of just like pat people on the shoulder and stuff. He very gingerly sort of places an arm and just a hand and just touches his shoulder for a moment. He's like, "Are you okay?"
There's a pause that is much longer than Neris's normal pause. And he slows his stride until he completely stops.
Janus sort of slowly stops as well and turns.
I have spent my life searching the future. Now I don't know what I see. There is much, but I think I'm scared, Janus.
Janus was watching him closely. He almost seems like the expression on his face was very tense, and it almost shifts for a moment and just looks a bit sad. And he just nods and takes another half step towards him.
I don't know what to do, where to go. I don't know what the next step is. I don't know how I could possibly beat myself in the games that I've already lost. I am so incredibly responsible, and I don't know how to fix it.
I think that is quite normal. This is an impossible situation. It requires an impossible solution, I suppose. But today you crossed a threshold none of us wish to cross. I think not being able to see the future clearly just makes you like the rest of us, unfortunately. Perhaps that is your strength, though it doesn't really seem like one currently. No one should have to taste what you tasted today. I don't mean the mushrooms.
They were not nice.
No, they weren't. It's horrible. I can still taste them at the back of my throat. You faced yourself then, I wager, in that cave.
I did not face anything. I saw a shadow and I turned and ran.
There is no shame in that.
There is so much shame. How am I to protect? I'm not strong enough, Janus. I can't do this.
Perhaps you cannot, but that is a good thing. Do you know why? For the first point. And he takes another step closer and he points his finger and pokes Neris sort of like in the sternum, sort of like, well, the breastbone, I guess. It's perhaps a little bit harder than he'd like to be, but still very careful. He pokes him just for a moment. He's like, "You feel guilt. This is something that this perhaps future version of you, this parody of you, cannot. Even if at some point perhaps he feels it, he cannot do the things that he has done and call it worth it, if he feels guilt truly. I am lost too. I faced my family, and I did not do anything. They had been changed, and I could not find the solution fast enough to spare that agony from the challenge this Sphinx set, because I don't quite know what I meant to do either. I suppose the point I'm trying to make is, may I first ask another question? I'm sorry this one has pained you."
Of course.
And for a moment his gaze seems to linger longer over you, over your face for some reason, and then down to your arms, maybe even towards your one gloved hand. But his stance seems to shift again. He's very close to you, and it's almost like he chooses to ask another question. And he just tilts his head down. "The captaincy. I did not have time to fully appreciate it back in the inn when we spoke, but you mean it, don't you, truly, that I am to be captain of your vessel, of this endeavor, of this thing you fear that you do not have the strength to do?"
This villain we face, I believe you have the ability to bring him down.
He nods, and he almost smiles for a moment. "I promise you this is a gift I will not squander. And for the before point, and for this point too, you do not need to be strong enough to do this. You do not need to worry if you want to run. Because I said before, and I say again, I promised you I would be your shoulder if you find yourself lacking and have none to lean on. The same is true now, perhaps more true now than ever. Because you are not alone, as he is, as you said. You have Fishman, you have Alton, You even have Loren, and you have me. You didn't deserve to die today. You do not deserve to die any day. You do not deserve to feel shame for running. We will fix this together. And if you believe I have the strength to change the future, then I believe I have the man standing right in front of me who will guide me in that direction, and we will change the world together.
And that's where we're going to leave it for this week.
See you next week, everyone. Have a great
See you
week.
next time.
Thanks, guys. See you later.
Bye.
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 Bye. Sorry for listening. Holy shit, Laura!
Oh my god, Laura.
How? I know, like, there
Very
could have
good.
been, like, a smoother ending narratively to that scene, but how could I not leave it on that line?
It's just
That's all right. I didn't write that bit either. I was just like, oh, okay, Jan's take over. There you go.
That was off the dome, babe.
That was
I
incredible.
wrote like the lead
So
up because I was like, oh yeah, he's gonna ask him, hey, you were okay about the dying thing? Nurse was like, I'm not okay about anything. And then Janice was like, and then the next thing, the only other thing I was gonna ask was, oh, did you mean the thing making me captain? Because I'm really all about that. And then Nurse was like, yeah, I go, yeah. So I was like, cool, all right, let's combine this, let's go. So yeah, thank you everyone. Thank you, Darby. I know you're sleepy. Please have a good sleep.